This week's Newspoll, conducted May 10 to 13 from a sample of 1,730, gave Labour a 51 to 49 lead, unchanged from 3 weeks ago. Primary votes were 39% Coalition, up 1, 38% Labour, up 1, 9% Greens, steady, and 6% One Nation, down 1. This Newspoll is Malcolm Turnbull's 32nd successive loss as PM, 2 more than Tony Abbott. However, the past 2 have been narrow losses. The total vote for Labour and the Greens was up 1 point to 47%, while the total for the Coalition and One Nation was steady at 45%. The gain for the left would normally result in a gain after preferences, but rounding probably helped the Coalition again. Read more. Poll wrap. Labour's Newspoll lead narrows federally, and in Victoria 39%, up 3, were satisfied with Turnbull, and 50% down 3, were dissatisfied, for a net approval of -11, Turnbull's highest net approval since the final pre-election Newspoll in July 2016. Bill Shorten's net approval was down 2 points to -22. Turnbull led Shorten as better PM by 46 to 32. This is Turnbull's clearest better PM lead since February. Newspoll asks 3 questions after every budget: whether the budget was good or bad for the economy, good or bad for you personally, and whether the opposition would have delivered a better budget. The best news for Labour was on the third question, where it only trailed by 7 points, equal to their deficit after the badly perceived 2014 budget. According to the poll Bludger, Labour trailed by more during all of the Howard government's budgets. This budget was seen as good for the economy by 41 to 26, and good for you personally by 29 to 27. The poll Bludger says it is 5th out of 31 budgets covered by Newspoll on personal impact, but only slightly above average on the economy. Turnbull led Shorten by 48 to 31 on best to handle the economy, 51 to 31 in December 2017. Treasurer Scott Morrison led his shadow Chris Bowen 38 to 31 on best economic manager. 51 to 28, voters thought Labour should support the government's 7-year tax cut package. Turnbull has delivered a well-received budget, while Shorten's credibility took a hit after 4 Labour MPs were kicked out over the citizenship fiasco. Voters were not sympathetic to politicians who held dual citizenships. By 51 to 38, they thought such politicians should be disqualified from federal parliament, 44 to 43 in August. By 46 to 44, voters would oppose a referendum to change the constitution to allow dual citizens to become MPs. The key question is whether Turnbull's ratings bounce will be sustained. The PM's net approval and the government's two-party vote are strongly correlated, so the coalition should do better if Turnbull's ratings are good. Past ratings spikes for Turnbull have not been sustained. While people on low incomes receive a tax cut, it will not be implemented by withholding less tax from pay packets. Instead, people will need to wait until they file their tax returns after July 2019 to receive their lump sum tax offsets. As the next federal election is very likely to be held by May 2019, this appears to be a political mistake. In last week's Essential, 39% thought the Australian economy good and 24% poor. While Australia ran large trade surpluses in the first 3 months of this year, the domestic economy is not looking as good as it did in 2017. See my personal website for more. Ipsos, 54 to 46 to Labour, 53 to 47 respondent allocated. An Ipsos poll for the Fairfax Papers, conducted May 9 to 12 from a sample of 1,200, gave Labour a 54 to 46 lead by 2016 election preferences, a 2-point gain for Labour since early April. Primary votes were 37% Labour, up 3, 36% Coalition, steady, 11% Greens, down 1, and 5% One Nation, down 3. Newspoll is no longer using last election preferences, so it seems better to compare Ipsos respondent allocated preferences with Newspoll, not the last election preferences. By respondent allocated preferences, Ipsos was 53-47 to Labour, a 3-point gain for Labour. Ipsos is bouncier than Newspoll, and the Greens' support is higher. If you compare Ipsos respondent allocated two-party vote with Newspoll, the difference is diminished. Turnbull had a 51-39 approval rating, 47-43 in April. This is Turnbull's best rating in Ipsos since April 2016. Ipsos gives Turnbull his strongest ratings of any pollster. Shorten's net approval was up 3 points to -12. Turnbull led Shorten by 52-32, 52-31 in April. By 39-33, voters thought the budget was fair, 42-39 after the 2017 budget. By 38-25, voters thought they would be better off, the highest better off figure in Nielsen, Ipsos history since 2006. However, by 57-37, voters thought the government should have used its extra revenue to pay off debt, rather than cutting taxes. Queensland Galaxy, 52-48 to Federal Coalition, 53-47 to State Labour. A Queensland Galaxy poll, conducted May 9-10 from a sample of 900 for the Courier-Mail, gave the Federal Coalition a 52-48 lead, unchanged since February, but a 2% swing to Labour since the 2016 election. Primary votes were 40% Coalition, down 1, 33% Labour, up 1, 10% Greens, steady, and 10% One Nation, up 1. Primary vote changes would normally imply a gain for Labour, but this was lost in the rounding. By 39-33, Queenslanders thought the budget was good for them personally, rather than bad. By 39-28, they thought the budget would be good for Queensland. The state politics questions gave Queensland Labour a 53-47 lead, a 1-point gain for Labour since February. Primary votes were 38% Labour, up 1, 35% LNP, down 1, 12% One Nation, up 2, and 10% Greens, steady. Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk had a 46-38 approval rating, 44-38 previously. Opposition leader Deb Frecklington had a 31-28 approval rating, 29-25. Palaszczuk led Frecklington as better premier, 47-27, 42-31. Longman reached hell, 53-47 to LNP. The Longman by-election is one of 5 that will be held soon. A reached hell poll, conducted May 10 from a sample of 1,280 for the left-wing Australia Institute, gave the LNP a 53-47 lead, about a 4% swing to the LNP since the 2016 election. Primary votes were 36.7% LNP, 32.5% Labour, 15.1% One Nation and 4.9% Greens. Reached hell is using respondent allocated preferences. The two-party vote in this poll looks reasonable assuming One Nation preferences flow to the LNP. National polls and the Queensland Galaxy poll show swings to Labour compared with a 2016 election. It would be highly unusual for a seat to swing so strongly to the Coalition when other polling shows a swing to Labour. In the past, seat polls have been far less reliable than national and statewide polls. Better by-election news for Labour: the Western Australian Liberals will not contest either Perth or Fremantle. Fremantle has a 7.5% margin with an incumbent recontesting, but Labour only holds Perth by a 3.3% margin with no incumbent. Read more. Center Alliance's Rebecca Sharkey most vulnerable at by-elections forced by dual citizenship saga essential, 52-48 to Labour. This week's essential, conducted May 10-13 from a sample of 1,033, gave Labour a 52-48 lead, a 1-point gain for the coalition since last week. Primary votes were 38% Coalition, steady, 36% Labour, down 1, 10% Greens, steady, and 7% One Nation, up 1. By 44-28, voters approved of the budget overall. 22% thought the tax cuts would make a difference to their household. 39% supported the tax cuts, with 30% wanting more spending on schools and hospitals and 18% preferring a reduction in government debt. By 44-40, voters disagreed with giving higher-income people larger tax cuts. By 79-14, voters agreed that those earning $200,000 should pay a higher tax rate than those earning $41,000.